Now, speaking of the new coronavirus regulations, one major issue with the Green Pass's updates is yet to be resolved. Among the nearly 2 million Israelis soon set to lose their passes are roughly half of the nation's educators. And then adding insult to injury, concerns over poor staffing, pay, and working conditions long going unanswered, leading to a massive strike across the country starting today. Employees at state-supervised daycares beginning an open-ended strike that will directly affect some 50,000 children and their families. Joining me now to discuss is value creation expert from the Academic College in Tel Aviv-Jaffa, Dr. Alex Coman. Dr. Coman, thanks so much for being with us. Now, first off, wouldn't you agree with the teachers' grievances, essentially? I mean, the teachers' union is saying that Prime Minister Bennett and Finance Minister Lieberman are willing to negotiate with Hamas, but are refusing to hold negotiations with teachers who earn 5,000 shekels a month and are collapsing from the load. Meanwhile, the average teacher's pay is roughly 6,000 shekels a month, which is just over minimum wage at 5,300 a month, which hasn't changed in about 4 years. And this, as I'm sure you know, is far, far below the cost of living, really. So, again, how do you respond to the teachers' grievances?
First of all, the major topic of conversations between me and my daughter is me trying to convince her to stop being a teacher. So that's because of this pay issue. But I think that the problem, first of all, I think they should negotiate. There's no question about that. But I think the major problem is that there's lack of leadership. It's like in that fable where every animal pulls in its direction. So the Minister of Education is very problematic in the sense that she does not show leadership or direction, and the Minister of Health has another direction, and the Prime Minister has yet another direction. And actually, even the teachers have several organizations, so there's not a single organization representing them. So I think this, to a large extent, the fact that there's no negotiations, that's a symptom. It's not that the government is clear about its objectives and refuses to negotiate, is that the government is completely, not completely, but quite clueless. And for that reason, they would not negotiate. So absolutely, I think this is outrageous. I mean, it's obvious that the teachers would not go to teach without an agreement. So why?
Of course.
Why wait for this mess to happen?
Well, but also this is a very long, as I said, this is a long ongoing issue, and it's a little ridiculous to expect skilled educators to be working for minimum wage, and you know, their wages have not gone up long before the new administration came into Jerusalem.
Absolutely. I think if there's one topic that there's consensus about is the importance of education. I mean, if I think about my parents, the importance of education, I mean, I'm talking about families that were poor and yet were sending their kids to the cheder. So that was the top priority. And in Israel, if we want to be startup nation, we want to lead, this is the top priority. And at the same time, the results are quite appalling if you look at the PISA tests, etc. So I think that it's very important to change the system so that we spend more money on it and we get more results. I agree with you 100%.
All right, now how big of an impact is this expected to have on the economy as a whole? Because again, we're talking about 50,000 plus children and their parents who are likely going to be heavily impacted insofar as their workday.
Well, I think that quite a few organizations in Israel are working in a hybrid mode. So the meaning of the hybrid mode is that people can work a few days from home and a few days they go to the office. And this means that the damage would not be that colossal in the sense that parents could alternate. And so one parent would be with the kids. And also we see grandparents deeply involved in that. So I think that the economic impact is not going to be devastating.
All right, and what final question, what about the timing of this? Because we have Orna Barbivai, the economy minister, criticizing the timing. She says she essentially agrees with the grievances, but says that, you know, right now during a COVID crisis is not the time to bring it up. I would argue, I don't know if you'll agree with me, but I would argue that when you have such leverage, it's the perfect time to bring it up, no?
Absolutely. I mean, when do you see firemen requiring salary raises right after a big fire? So I mean, that's the idea. And in particular now, as I said before, there's such a shortage of leadership you do not, I mean, because normally if you had a strong, knowledgeable minister of education, everybody would know how things are conducted, and this is not the case. Usually you do not know until the day how things will happen. And also that person would be the champion of improving the conditions of the teachers, in the sense that on one hand, you want the teachers to work with masks and take all these duties upon themselves that are not normally part of their job, fighting with parents who don't want to wear masks or things like that. So on one hand, you put extra load on the teachers, and on the other hand, you're not a champion to improve their conditions. And I think this is a major mistake.
All right, Dr. Alex Coman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.